Good morning, Montgomery, Alabama. It is time to rise and shine as you get up this morning. It's a little chilly outside in the capital city of Alabama. It's 48 degrees right now, as a matter of fact. 48 degrees, but it feels good. Feels good. 48 degrees outside. Let me see. What else? What is the forecast for the rest of the day? Well, sunshine and clouds mix, cooler, high 76 degrees today, which is good. Perfect. Winds east at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, a 2% chance of precipitation, cloudy skies, and evening will become partly cloudy after midnight, low around 54 degrees. And on tomorrow, according to the weatherman, well, right now I'm the weatherman, partly to mostly cloudy, high around 77 degrees tomorrow. Winds east southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. The pollen count is high, very high, as a matter of fact. Precipitation, 0% for the most part. Air quality is good. Of course, anytime you get air, I guess that's good. And the UV index is high, 8 out of 10, which means that the sun's going to be out. The sun's out every day, but, it's going to be high in the sky and you won't be able to, okay, it's just 10. It's going to be high. Okay. I don't know what it means. So I'm going to tell you, UV index is high. Okay. Which means that's probably a good thing. That it means we got some sun, coming out. Okay. Anyway, it's time to rise and shine. The clock on the wall says it is 7 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. I hope this day finds you well. And I'll start. We start our show off with our daily bread because Lord knows we need something. But first, we got to wake y'all up. Okay, we got to wake you up. It's time to get up. So what you gonna do? Don't just lay there. Okay, let's go.
We change the world and history right here where we're from. It's new beginnings to you and me, cause we're not done. In our city, in our city, in our city, we're not done.
Welcome in this morning. It's a great day to be alive. It's going to be our message today. Right now, of course, time for our daily bread. A word from on high, something that'll change your perspective or at least give you a new one. But either way, it's good for the soul. Okay? You gotta have a good word. You gotta get this day started right. Because you'll find as the day goes on, no matter how bad you think you have it, well, there's somebody else out there that has a little bit worse than you. So, let's get busy. All right? Let's get busy living. Good morning to you. Daily bread. That's what's up next. We'll be right back.
Every moment filled with your warm embrace. Through valleys deep and mountains high, your faith a beacon in the sky. Every trial with lessons wrapped tight in every shadow, you are my
Hi friend, and welcome to today's encouragement from Our Daily Bread. My name is Sheridan Voisey, and I've titled today's reading, Children of God. I once spoke at a secular conference for childless couples. Heartbroken over their infertility, many attendees despaired at their future. Having walked the childless path too, I tried to encourage them. You can have a meaningful identity without becoming parents, I said. I believe you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and there's new purpose for you to find. A woman later approached me in tears. Thank you, she said. I felt worthless for being childless and needed to hear that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I asked the woman if she was a believer in Jesus. I walked away from God years ago, she said, but I need a relationship with Him again. Times like this remind me how profound the gospel is. Some identities, like mother and father, are hard for some to attain. Others, like those based on a career, can be lost through unemployment. But through Jesus, we become God's dearly loved children, an identity that can never be stolen. And then we can walk in the way of love, a life purpose that transcends any role or employment status. Psalm 139 tells us that all human beings are fearfully and wonderfully made. And John chapter 1 says, those who follow Jesus become children of God. Once in despair, that woman left in hope, about to find an identity and purpose bigger than this world can give. Today's scripture reading is from Ephesians chapter 4 verse 32 through to chapter 5 verse 10. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Follow God's example, therefore, as dearly loved children, and walk in the way of love, just as Christ loved us and gave Himself up for us as a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. But among you, there must not be even a hint of sexual immorality, or any kind of impurity, or of greed, because these are improper for God's holy people. Nor should there be obscenity, foolish talk, or coarse joking, which are out of place, but rather thanksgiving. For of this you can be sure. No immoral, impure, or greedy person, such a person is an idolater, has any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and of God. Let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of such things God's wrath comes on those who are disobedient. Therefore, do not be partners with them. For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light, for the fruit of the light consists in all goodness, righteousness, and truth, and find out what pleases the Lord. Let's pray together. Lord, thank you for making me your child. Today, I embrace this as my prime identity. Before I am a teacher or an artist or an engineer or any other occupational identity, before I'm a mother or a father or a husband, a wife, or even a friend, I am your dearly loved child. Empower me by your Spirit to walk in the way of love today. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Today's encouragement.
Good morning, everybody. Come on, kids. Let's get it going. Hey, somebody's got to be a Marine. It would have been me. Want me to tell you a story? I won't. Okay, let me stop that. All right, let me stop. Okay, gotta stop that. All right, now let's ever get my thing back on it. I don't know why my my stuff won't show up today. Not very well anyway. It looks like it's I don't know. Might have issues. I'm not sure. Whole weekend. These 3 days out. Let me get my face out of there right quick. These 3 days all sometimes seems to my computer wants to take a break too. Hey, listen, that's why I paid for you. All right. Anyway, good morning to you. Now today is, let me get that thing out of my face right there. There is a I don't know what happened to me right there. What happened to your brother? Oh, there we go. Okay, I don't know why it keeps going out. I'm not that important anyway. Anyway, so it's a Monday or it's a Tuesday. It's the first day of the week for me. So we always play something special on today, and today is no exception. It is a great day to be alive. So, and when we do that, and I like playing this one because it puts us in a mind of gratefulness and let you know that all people, just because they make mistakes, doesn't mean they're bad people. Some people like okra, some don't. Okay, it doesn't make the okra bad, but it just means that sometimes you ought to eat something else. Okay, so we are going to play this. It is a great day to be alive. Okay, and then we are going to get onto some topics that are interesting topics today. But I love this. I love this thing here because it is really, really, really. It puts you in contact with. Well, it puts you in contact with your. Hopefully, it'll put you in contact with yourself and let you know that everybody, every last one of us, can be redeemed for something. We all stepped on it. Whether we admit it or not, we've all done something that if the microscope of life were to be put on us, we will be up the creek. Okay, I'm just saying. So anyway, it is a great day, an outstanding day to be alive. We'll be back.
Grandmother became my first hero. Growing up, my grandmother never used an alarm clock. But every morning, my grandmother would wake up at 4:15. And at 4:16, her feet would hit the floor, usually right in front of my face. And that's what would wake me up. But I would lay there and I would pretend like I was still asleep because me and 4:15 really didn't get along. But Grandma would look at the back of my head. I could feel her staring at me. And then finally she would say, "Now, sugar, Grandmama know you ain't asleep. You just supposed to go on and get on up and get ready for school." And my grandmother was known for saying things that would kind of make you a little angry because they made so much sense. And you couldn't argue with her. Parents, there's things that when you become parents, you start to say to your own kids. Like my grandmother would say, "Now, son, you knew when you laid down there last night that you had to get up this morning. I don't know why every single morning you lay there and act surprised. You ought to be thankful that the Lord saw fit to wake you up in your right mind." But what my grandmother was encouraging me to do was simply to be grateful for the opportunity. In spite of all that I had been through in my life, she just wanted to make sure that I understood the opportunity that I've been given. My life got started, it was a little rough. It was a little rough start. I was born 2 months premature. My mother was walking up a flight of stairs, and she didn't know this at the time, but a woman she had had an argument with earlier was standing above her holding a pot of boiling water. As my mom made her way up those stairs, that woman dumped that water onto my mom and sent her tumbling down the stairs and into premature labor. She received third-degree burns to over 25% of her body. And when we were finally allowed to leave the hospital, as you can imagine, my mom was in a great deal of pain. Those burns just barely missed her face and covered most of the front of her body. So when we got home, she began taking a heavy sedative, pain medication to help her recover. When she took that medication, it was very difficult for her to watch me, so I would bounce around a lot. I'd stay with my mom for a little bit, and then I'd go stay with grandma, and I'd stay with some neighbors, aunties, and then back to my mother's house. I did that for the first 3 years of my life. I was 3 years old, I was back at my mom's house, and I got into her purse, I found that medication, I swallowed everything in the bottle. When they found me, they rushed me to the hospital, and my heart would stop, and eventually I went into a coma. But because of that accident, because of that incident, the state of California, they did an investigation. And the conclusion that they came to was that it wasn't an accident. They removed me from my mother's home. I was made a ward of the state, and eventually I went into the foster care system. Shortly after I arrived to one of my foster homes, my foster mom, her name was Miss Alexander. Miss Alexander began locking me inside the closet with no light. She'd open the closet door, she'd kick me, hit me with a stick or a strap or whatever she had. It was while I was in that foster home that I was sexually abused for the first time in my life. And oftentimes people will ask, if that has to be the worst thing that could happen to someone. I have scars on my body that you can't see. I have a burn here on my hand that she put there with an iron. But all of that pain went away. The worst thing that Mrs. Alexander would do is she would open the closet door, she would stand over me, and she would say, "You're stupid, and you ain't gonna never amount to nothing." And that hurt me more than any of the physical kicks or the physical pain because I believed it for a long time. I believed that I would never amount to anything, just like she said. I didn't know this at the time. I found out a little bit later, but my grandmother, my hero, she had started going back and forth to court, trying to prove that she could take care of an active, handsome little boy. And eventually the state of California, they granted her full custody of me. And I'll never forget standing on Miss Alexander's front porch waiting. She had my little belongings, everything that I had. I remember standing there, it may have only been a half an hour, but it felt like an eternity, and I can remember thinking maybe no one's coming. But after a while, at the end of the block, I see the ugliest car I've ever seen in my life. And the car pulls up right in front of the porch, and I remember all I could see are these two big glasses, bifocals. And I found out later that Grandma had glaucoma. She wasn't even supposed to be driving. But she gets out of that big car, and she's got on this white floppy hat with this, it was a flower right there in the middle. And I remember she had on this long white dress that came all the way down to her ankles. And I found out later that, that was Grandma's Sunday best. It was an outfit that she only reserved for special occasions. And I can remember for once in my life feeling like I was some special occasion. I remember jumping into Grandma's arms and squeezing her, and I remember her whispering and saying to me, "Everything's okay. You're family." And everything was okay, just like Grandmother said. And I had a lot to look forward to. I found out that my mom was going to court trying to prove that she could take care of me. And I can remember sitting there with my mother, and we talk, and we had a lot of different conversations. One thing I can remember saying, "Mama, one day when I get big, I'm gonna buy you a nice house with a fireplace." I said, "Mama, one day I'm gonna buy you a nice car." Not like grandmama's, and get you a nice one. But the truth is, I just really wanted to become a family again. And that's what I looked forward to. When I was 12 years old, I was asleep on my grandmother's floor. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning. We get a knock on the door. And it was my mom's roommate. Miss Howell, come quick." Miss Howell was my grandma. She said, "Come quick, it's Ruth." Ruth was my mom. She said, "I can't wake her up. I think she's dead." And I can remember laying on that floor, kind of wishing it was, hoping that it was maybe a dream. But it wasn't. And that's how I found out that all the hopes and dreams and things that I had to look forward to weren't going to happen. I became very angry. I became confused. I was hurt. I didn't really understand what was happening. I started acting out, hanging out with the wrong people, breaking into houses, started stealing cars. I can remember not really caring what happened to me. I continued that behavior until I was 19. When I was 19, I found myself standing in front of a judge. I was handcuffed, had a chain around my waist, and my handcuffs were attached to that chain. The judge looked at me and says, the state of California sentences you to 15 years in prison for armed robbery and assault with a deadly weapon. That day, when that door closed behind me for the first time as a convicted felon, I remember standing in that empty cell. I remember my knees started to get weak and they started to shake uncontrollably. I collapsed and I fell to the floor and I just started crying alone. I can remember hearing voices. Heard the voice of my foster mom saying, you're stupid, you ain't gonna never amount to nothing. Heard the voice of family members and friends of family that said, that boy's gonna end up just like his father. My father was a career criminal, he died in prison. I can remember laying there thinking to myself that this is where I'm gonna die. But here's what happened that would change my life. Shortly after I arrived to that prison, there was an educator there. His name was Charles Lyles, 6'3", ex-Marine. And I don't know what it was about me, but every time he saw me, he'd say, hey, Mr. Humphrey. And he had this big smile on his face, a smile that my kids would say, that's creepy. But he smiled and he said, hey, Mr. Humphrey, how you doing? He always called me Mr. Humphrey. He gave me that respect. He walked into my cell. He looked at me and he said, Mr. Humphrey, he says, prison doesn't have to be your life. He says, you can get out of here and you can do great things. He started to walk away, and before he walked out of my cell, he turned around one last time and he says, Mr. Humphrey? I said, yes, sir. He says, I believe in you. He walked out of my cell. And if he had continued to stand there, he would have seen the tears running down my face because no one had ever said that to me. But I remember thinking to myself, I'm going to make some changes and I'm going to change my life. And a little over 4 years after the day I originally collapsed and fell to the floor, I walked out of that prison on parole. That was over 18 years ago. I've never been back other than to mentor and help other people. But here's what I know. I know that when you've had a rough life, when you feel unwanted, I know that when you have hopes and dreams and when you have things that you can look forward to and when you have people in place that support you and push you, I know that that gives you a reason to live. It is a great day to be alive. And that's something that I haven't always said, but now it's something that I say to myself every single day at some point. If I'm having a great day or a bad day, that's something that I say. But what I also understand is that what my grandmother was thanking her higher power for each and every day was for the opportunity that she'd been given. And she never missed an opportunity to tell anyone that would listen, especially me, it's a great day to be alive.
Oh, yeah.
Grandmother
Oh,
became
okay.
my first.
It is a great day to be alive each and every day, regardless of whether we mess it up or not. It's still a great day to be alive. So no matter what you go through today, just remember, it's all temporary. Good morning to you. It is, what time is it now? It is 7:29 in the morning. Whatever you want to talk about. I got a couple of things. Since I have been in Montgomery, Alabama, it is now. I will tell you that out of all the places I have lived and all the places I have been, um, I probably saw myself with the possibility of living in some of those places, especially Washington. Oh, I love Washington. Um, but Alabama was just not on the list. I mean, I had never heard anything good about Alabama. I've always heard bad things about Alabama. And now to my surprise, however, it's not as bad as people think it is. The past runs deep in Alabama. I'll just put it to you. I'll just put it to you that way. It runs deep down here. Okay. I understand why. I do. I do understand why. But there's not a whole lot you can do about about things that happened years and years and years ago. Um, and I don't know why. Um, I don't know why it is. I mean, we are still talking about reparations. I got some stuff here. We're still talking about what happened in 1901 with the legislature, 1901, and who came in for the most part. They tried to take. I guess they tried to make sure that there was this um, supremacy sort of kind of environment in Alabama to make sure um, a certain group of people were in charge and another group of people were subservient, and that just it was what it was. And that is the same constitution, of course, we live by today. But somebody wrote something to me. It says, well, let me give this to you right here. It says, could it be other than Mayor Reed that's the reason we have a police shortage? If so, why? After the supermajority Republicans, okay, are the supermajority Republicans aware of such a thing? If so, why have they made Mayor Reed the villain? Did or has prominent elected and candidates Republicans on most conservative media, radio, TV, and newspapers and social media publicly stated that Montgomery cannot thrive unless it has a white mayor at the helm. Did Reed Ingram, Will Barfoot, Tommy Tuberville, and other prominent Republicans say Montgomery will not be the same after this legislative session? And what does that mean? That is an interest. I mean, Montgomery doesn't really. There doesn't seem to be the support or the compromise that's needed in order to move Montgomery forward. It just doesn't seem to be there. Now we got some great news recently about businesses that are that thinks that we're worth investing in. So something is going well. But is there an atmosphere of is there real meetings going going at the country club out there and well, let them get a little bit, then we pull something back from 'em? I don't know. And one of those things is home rule, and they took home rule from Montgomery, the capital city of Alabama. They took it from Montgomery, um, and it hadn't been here for a while. So I don't know the answer to all these things. Some people say that it is more David Bronner's fault than it is anybody else's fault. Said, well, okay then. I don't know. I don't get into politics that much. But there does be a there does seem to be a missing element. Who's that? Let me see who that is right. Okay. What's going on, Simpler Days?
Good morning, Mayor. You doing okay today?
I'm doing fine.
Outstanding. Let's talk about what you just brought up. Why does Reed Ingram, why do people like Dick Brubaker, why do people like that praise Sheriff Cunningham? And he's black.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Mm-hmm. But now you do okay. Even as a sheriff, the high sheriff, the issues of urban living or city living is a little bit different than the issues of living out in the country with chickens and cows walking across the street. I mean, it's a little bit more ominous.
Well, that might have been the case back in the day, but Montgomery is spread out, and along with assuming because Montgomery couldn't handle their business, law enforcement wise, they had to reach out. They didn't want to reach out, but it was kind of forced upon them. So the sheriff's department now is performing similar quasi duties to the Montgomery Police Department.
Right.
And they have to provide security to all the judicial sites. They have to run a large county jail that takes in prisoners from Montgomery and surrounding areas and federal prisoners. They have to serve civil papers, which PD doesn't have to do. They have a motor division, traffic division, narcotics division, canine unit. They're doing the exact same things now in making arrests and issuing traffic. They used to didn't have to work recs because Montgomery worked their own recs in the state, but they have to work recs now because, as we know, Montgomery doesn't have enough officers to do that. So the old thing about, well, they're just out there keeping the farmers in check. That's not true anymore, Mayor.
And I hear what you're saying, but now you have to admit, not having home rule, not having the ability to as a mayor, any mayor, if everything I did has to go to the legislative body, everything, before we can do anything, that is an albatross that everybody sees, and you can't get it off from behind your neck.
Well, is it the same? Is it the same home rule that for 30, 40 years ago was in place? Is it the same home rule that's in Madison County and Huntsville today? Is it the same rule that's in effect for Baldwin and Mobile?
But it is not the same home rule for everybody in the state of Alabama. Some people have it, and some. It seems as though that the influence, Montgomery is under the thumb of a few legislators because of the lack of home rule. So if the majority, and the majority is not always right, but if the majority says, we don't want to do that, like, first of all, why is our mayor one of the lowest paid mayors in Alabama for a city its size? Why Prattville mayor makes more? I don't know what the guy in Milburn, but why we should have one of the highest paid mayors strictly because it's a capital city and it comes with a plethora of issues. But why is Stephen Reed the lowest, or whoever would be there would have the same pay? Why is it that Montgomery seems to be under the thumb of a few legislators as opposed to having its own have its own ability to direct its own future?
Well, let's take both those issues. The pay deal started a long time ago when Emory Farmer did not accept a salary. And the city council had to finally go ahead and make him take a salary. Same thing with Trump. Trump doesn't take a salary. So that got started a long time ago. And should he be compensated equally to what the other mayors of other cities of similar size? Sure, he should. But then let's take the other issue of why is the thumb on the state government is here. Everything runs through the legislature here. Everything is mirrored in Montgomery because the state government is here.
Again, though, but the state government, which I understand, it's kind of like being Congress in Washington D.C. the Congress doesn't tell Washington D.C. everything they can or cannot do, because they are separate, and they are separate entities. Even though they are somewhat cojoined, they are still separate entities. And Montgomery is not the lapdog of the legislature downtown. They just happen to have the building here, and the apparatus for state government is here, but they don't get to run. Do they? Maybe they do. I don't think they get to run the city of Montgomery.
Well, politics has strange bedfellows, as you know. And so many other things in state government and Montgomery are tied through that political animal. And that's just the way it's always been, and that's the way it will be until the good Lord comes down and opens it up and spits it back out anew. But going back to your original thing about the police department, I mean, and I've tried to get you to get somebody from the sheriff's department on, either number one or number two, and just ask them, what do they do different? And why do people that are at the police department leave and go over there, retire and go over there? I talked to one the other day. I was getting my tag removed. And he said, man, I wish you were back down there. He said, you're one of the best supervisors I ever had.
Yeah.
I said, well, I wish I could. I said, but I just can't work in that environment.
Okay. Well, let me
He
ask
said,
you.
I know.
Let me ask you a question. And I hear what you're saying, and we make these comparisons between the city and the county. Bread is bread in its basic makeup. Bread is bread, but some bread has raisins in them. It's still bread, but it's not the same kind of bread as the other bread. The county and city, even though they have the basic things, infrastructure and things of that nature, but the operation. I mean, let's not act like the county has to deal with the majority of the problems that the city does. And that's because anytime you have a bunch of people someplace, you're always going to have a bunch of problems. You got people out in the county who their neighborhoods are like a couple of miles long because the houses are so spread apart. I mean, the county is a different animal. Wouldn't you say that it's a different animal than the city?
It used to be, and then there's areas in the city that are out on the Old Selma Road. There are cities that are out down the Northern Boulevard, down Wetumpka Highway that are rural. But the concept in your mind of all they do is ride around and check on the farmers, that's over with. Montgomery's spread out too far now. And then you've got them performing the task that the Montgomery Police Department used to do solo. They didn't need any help because they had enough bodies. Mm-hmm. But I guarantee, I'll bet you. Go ahead.
Doesn't the legislature have something to do with everybody making their own neighborhood into a city around here? What's the one out there on Vaughn Road? That's the most messed up, geographically, the most messed up area I've ever seen at Pike Road. It's the most unusually geographically formed city that I've ever seen. So
I promise you, Birmingham and Mobile are the exact same way. When you have the folks, when the city goes outward in all different directions, and they start annexing this, annexing that, annexing this. You got 6, 7, 8 municipalities around Metro Birmingham. It's geographically, the court system is all the same way. That's not unique to Montgomery and Pike Road.
Okay. I mean, it's the only place I've lived since 1991. So I just never seen it.
Mayor Montgomery didn't be like that either until you had the and you know what the word is, the flight from Montgomery.
Right.
and it continues to go on today. And it is black, white, and Asian flight. But I will bet you my last dollar that I know this beyond a shadow of a doubt. You could take Sheriff Derek Cunningham, his staff, put them over into the Montgomery Police Department, take the Montgomery Police Department, the city council, and the mayor over to the county side, and you would see a major, major change.
Well,
you'd have to get rid of that city council. You'd have to get rid of that city council a lot for it to work, because that's the difference. Sheriff Cunningham knows that county commission backs him, and he doesn't have a person from Baltimore as his number two person waiting in the wings to take his job, and he doesn't have a guy from Mobile as his advisor that he has to run everything through.
Well, but the advisor to the city of Montgomery seems to be the legislature, and not the mayor. Doesn't seem to. It seems to me. I mean, it's more of it's becoming more of a ceremonial position than one of any authority. Like Tuskegee.
Well, there's a reason. There's a reason people are fleeing New York.
Right.
Look up the states. Look up the states that are growing in pop. Number one, South Carolina. Traditional, hard, Southern, yellow Democratic state. People are fleeing to South Carolina. North Carolina is more liberal, but they're headed to Texas, Florida. They're fleeing these blue states where these blue mayors want to focus on social programs and all that other fluff rather than the nuts and the bolts of public safety, keeping the streets clean, keeping the potholes filled.
Do you think, let me ask him, do you believe that, and listen, I like Stephen Reed. I think he's a smart guy. Politically, that odious party he belongs to, I don't like the philosophy of them. But don't you believe he wants to do a great job and move? And it seems that Montgomery is moving forward in many, many ways. But we take 2 steps forward and then we take 3 steps back sometimes. I mean, obviously we got a crime issue. Yesterday something happened. The other night something happened. Somebody got killed. I mean, it's here. But that's the problems that the county doesn't really have to deal with a lot, because when you start shooting out there, hell, you don't hit nobody. You're in the woods. But in the city, it's a different atmosphere in the city, though. Will you at least give them that? It's more of a complex web in the city, unlike the county. Hey, everybody's shooting their guns out there, but I don't think that this guy is. If they let him do what he wants to do, okay. And at first, I didn't believe there's no Democrat. I got to tell you, but I think if they let him run things the way he wants to run them, because we haven't. I mean, listen, we haven't gone broke.
If they let him run things the way he wants to, Mayor, he'd have the rainbow flag over City Hall.
Well, I don't think he'd do that. I don't think so.
Well, and I tell you what,
yeah,
he would have social justice warriors out there on the streets instead of law enforcement. He's already said he wanted to, in closed doors, dismantle the Montgomery Police Department and more privatize it than having enforcement.
Stephen Reed said that?
And that's why, yes, and that's why he came on your show and said he didn't believe in qualified immunity for law enforcement officers.
I do believe the other day, that the Supreme Court went against that. And I do that. I think they do need some qualified immunity, because it's a tough job, and it's far be it from us to judge something when we're not there. because we don't know in a split
Well,
second.
everybody in the court system, the judge, the prosecutor, the person that issues the warrant, all of them have judicial immunity. But the poor police officer stuck out there by himself with what, 16 weeks of training at the most?
Yeah, but I don't know if judges ought to have qualified immunity. They make these stupid rules.
Well, they got full judicial immunity,
and
Mayor.
I think that's a bad. Yesterday, I get a note. A man got found innocent of murder. Guess what? 70 years after they executed him. Okay.
Right.
The judge sits there supposedly to make sure that the trial is run correctly and fairly. 70 years after they execute a man, they have the unmitigated gall to tell him, oh, he was innocent. So,
Mayor, I stood before a municipal court judge in Montgomery, Alabama, with a record on a man that would fill up an old New York telephone directory. And his wife was standing there slinging snot, crying, saying, my kids are not going to have any school clothes. Please don't put Eric in jail. Please. And he had a 120-day sentence hanging over his head, and he didn't pull the trigger and put him in jail. And that was on a Thursday. Sunday night, he killed his 3 kids and killed himself. He'd have been sitting in a jail unless that if that municipal court judge would have just done his job.
Yeah.
So judges screw up on both sides. They screw up on both sides of the fence, Mayor.
Yeah.
But there's a reason that people leave cities with blue mayors for a reason.
Okay. Hey.
Have a good day, Mayor.
Appreciate it. We certainly need to figure something out right now. I mean, it's the same conversations every time the legislature comes in. It seems like they take a little bit of the apple from Montgomery, and again, it's tough. Morning, Don.
What's your definition of home rule?
It's when the city can make some of its local policies without going through the local delegation.
Okay, you need to take a civics class.
Well, tell me what it is.
The
Just tell me what it is.
Constitution of Alabama.
Yeah.
Will you listen? Maybe you might.
Which was made by a bunch of people.
There's a Constitution in Alabama, right?
Yeah, we're familiar with it.
Huh?
We're familiar with the Constitution.
Familiar with that?
Mhm.
And that Constitution grants authority to raise money. How does the city supposed to raise money?
Oh, we can do it with occupational tax.
No, see, you're dumb. You won't listen.
It's not
That
a
is
fee.
not granted by the Constitution of the
we'll
state
call
of
it
Alabama.
The city does have the right to raise
It
fees.
does not have that authority under the Constitution of the state of Alabama.
Well, neither
Now
the
you're going to
black
say
and white
3 or
folks-
4 others
wait,
did, but they didn't.
Neither the black and white
You
people.
won't listen. You're so damn stupid.
Wait a minute. Either the black and white folks have the right to get married under that same
So
Constitution.
you're damn stupid. You're just stupid.
Okay. Well,
Hey,
then
where are you going in Rome, Georgia?
hey, listen. I wouldn't talk to people who
Where
were.
are you?
I wouldn't talk to people that were stupid. I wouldn't do that. Okay. Anyway, so much for that. Hello. Yes.
Seems like you need a little help this morning.
Yeah. Help me out.
He's going on and 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 on. We all got it established. It already been established years ago that Steve doesn't care nothing about the Reeds, and many more doesn't care anything about the Reed family. We got that understood, don't we, Calvin?
Well, I mean, I don't know if Steve has a personal grudge against the Reed family. I mean, listen, I got more people in this city.
He got some personal reasons, other reasons too, but that's one of them. But many of the so-called conservative. They were kidding about Joe Reed, the daddy. So, but if there wasn't a fact or the point, Calvin, let's think back in the 90s.
Yeah.
When did Montgomery Mall start shutting down?
In the 90s. Or was it 2000? Man, it's been so long. I got here. It was a thriving mall when I got here in 91, though. It really was.
Right. Oh yeah, both of them. East LA and Montgomery Mall was jumping.
And we know what happened.
They had it going on.
That began when the YN Renaissance began to happen. Rap music.
There you go. So that's where I'm headed next.
Okay.
Give me a little time. I'm gonna walk her through it if you give me a little time. I want to stay on here like 30 minutes, like Steve talking about read the whole time. But it started under what color mayor? What party? Republican Party mayor was in office, wasn't it, Calvin?
Okay.
When Montgomery Mall was going through their problem, wasn't it?
But you realize but you do realize most of the people who did the stupid crime did not belong to the Republican Party.
I'm gonna get to that in a minute. Well, let's get that off the top first. These were white mayors, so-called conservatives or Republican mayors, okay? Even Todd Screen, I don't know what he was, but I think he was a conservative and a Republican as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Okay. So he's trying to compare the country out in the rural area to the city. Downtown in most cities, in town area, majority of housing projects was all over the city of Montgomery at one time real badly. Okay, when Barbara Bright was in there, he shut down a lot of the housing projects. We still got a 1 or 2 around the city, but you still in the city got neighborhoods where people we classify them as hood folks. Okay, they got a different mentality. Okay, than some folks, some black folks. Don't you agree, Mr. Elkins?
Sure.
They got different mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you don't get that out in the woods out there amongst those big, huge houses that a football field apart from each other. Huh? You're not gonna have housing projects out there, Steve. Okay, you can put Cunningham or anyone else in the city of Montgomery or any of these large cities right now when we done allow kids to walk around their pants hanging off their ass for many, many years and and walk around damn guns slinging on the side like in the wild, wild west. Thanks to you, Governor, for that one. So Cunningham couldn't stop these cats from, he couldn't make it to the house before the bullet got shot up in somebody. Can he, Calvin? Can Cunningham come to somebody and house and get there before the bullet get there?
Well, I don't guess so, bro. I mean, there's some.
Can anyone get there before the bullet get there?
Right. I mean, there are some things.
Somebody decided to shoot me. Somebody decided to walk into your door this morning and shoot you in the head, Kevin.
Yeah.
Can the police get there before the bullet make it to your head?
Well, no. But what's
the point is then talking about what Cunningham would do?
Well, again, like I told him, I think that the responsibilities of the county is a little bit different than the responsibilities of the city. I think home rule, which is what I brought up earlier, it adds to the problem, and it gives leadership a problem that the county doesn't seem to have. I'll just put it to you that way.
But let's take it a step further. Many years ago, the government told the moms and the dads you can't beat the hell out of these kids. Okay, so now the fruit is ready to be harvested now, and we got a bunch of screwed up kids, Kevin.
Well, we ain't never wanted to beat the hell out of our kids.
You got kids can't even damn move. They don't know how to change the damn flat tire in the car.
I mean, I know, but we never wanted to beat the hell out of the kids. We just.
You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You know the kind of beating the hell out of what that we used to get. The kind we used to get. That little pain.
Yeah.
No pain, no gain kind of situation we used to get.
I hear you.
Huh?
I hear you.
So So if you got that going on with the government, the white government told the parents, you got to keep the man out of the house. You can't marry this man.
No.
You got to make the man.
The government didn't never said that. Now, the government never said that. Just because people took the check rather than the man, that ain't on the, that ain't.
Let me say it another way. There, they made it difficult where the man had to bow down to that woman and bow down to the government because you can't say nothing out of the way.
Somebody was greedy and they rather have the money than control. That has got nothing to do with the
Just
government.
like you, I'm gonna use you for an example. I mean, you've had 3 or 4 wives, right?
Well, don't remind me. Yeah.
So you know what I'm talking about. So the government made it difficult for you to stay with these women because these women tell you the government on our side, right?
I ain't gonna blame that on the government.
But my point is, Calvin knows that the government over the years they got weaker and weaker instead of helping the black families out with these kids. Hell, they give them guns in the street so you can walk around hanging out your damn pocket.
But why should the government have to help you with your kids?
I'm talking about help us out for is telling them that they can't walk around in the street with the gun hanging out their pocket. That's what my point I'm making on that one. So if you got the government telling you that your child can walk around down the damn street with a gun hanging out their pocket, me and you can't do nothing as parents. You can't whip them anymore because the kids tell you, I have you locked up. I got you on speed dial on my damn phone. Have you locked up for child abuse if you touch me. If you even talk to me too hard.
Okay. Well, I hear you.
So that's what I mean when I say the government.
Do you believe that the old time father would have cared anything about the government telling what you can't do with your kids? Just because our men lost their balls to be men, you can't.
Me and you still old time. Me and you still old time. Got their ways in us still. Try that though.
That's right.
Try it nowadays. See what you get. See what you get. Your ass going downtown.
I did try. Well, there's something worth going to jail for. That's worth going to jail for. Because either you beat your child's butt or they're going to put him in prison. And not only will it be beating his butt, they'll be going up in his butt. So, yeah, I'm willing to take that shot.
You get your going when your ass go there, too, by beating on them or whipping them.
Well, whatever. But at least I would try to keep my children out of it. Anyway.
I know a lot of parents still try that nowadays.
Well, they're wusses then. I say go to jail. Whoop your child's butt. Let them call the police. Take me to jail. Because sooner or later, I'm going to get out. And I'm coming back to the house if the house is still there. And I'm going to do the same thing again if he do the same thing again.
Well, let me sum it all up for Steve right quick, Steve. Steve, you can go out in the woods all you want to, but in town, in Birmingham or even smaller cities, when you got these housing projects and the hood kind of mentality folks, not all of them bad, but hell, all of them goes to be bad and walk around the pants hanging off the butt and teach the kids how to walk around the pants hanging off the ass and all that too. Yeah. So what you think you're gonna get in town?
I can't. I appreciate it, and I do think. But let's go back to home rule thing, and this is why this is so important. This is so important. We're playing around. We're looking at the water, talking about it ain't wet. Home rule, and I was trying to explain a few minutes ago. It's hard to explain it. It's hard to explain it initially. But home rule is a form of government granting local municipalities or counties the power of self-governance, allowing them to manage local affairs, pass ordinances, and adopt charters without constant state permission, which is where we are now. The system shifts authority from the state to local governments, reversing Dillon's rule, which requires express state authorization for local actions. Now, you tell me how in the world can you blame the mayor or any mayor for the city of Montgomery if everything they do, you got to kiss the ring of our state legislators, okay? Home rule charter, a voter-approved document acting as a local constitution that defines the organization, the powers, and procedures of local government. Now, we did have Act 618. It came up with the city council, mayor type of structure that we have of leadership. But without home rule, you still have to go through Reed. You have to go through Hatcher. You got to go through to Kenyatta. You got to go through Tashina Morris. You got to go through Eisner, Insler. I mean, you still got to go through all these people. And if one of those people say no, then you don't get to do almost anything. Okay, what is the autonomy? Home rule entitles, entities can act on local matters unless specifically prohibited by state law or the state constitution. Okay, alternative to Dillon's rule. While home rule allows actions unless forbidden, Dillon's rule dictates that local governments only have powers expressly granted to them by the state legislature. Now, you tell me, how can you run things that you want to run if you always got to kiss the ring of the state legislator, whom we hardly ever hear from until they lose a battle in the state house or the state senate? So you tell me, so Steve is not necessarily wrong about this. Like all these people coming into Montgomery every day, and telling us where to put it on the way out. Okay, I'd put a commuter fee on them, and I don't want to pay, but which means that everybody in town that works would have to pay the fee. I don't have no problem with that. I ain't got no money anyway. I don't have to pay much. Okay, but if it means helping all of us, and the whole police thing, and for the life of me, I remember being a policeman was one of the most honorable jobs you could have. Okay, it was one of the most honorable jobs you have. And so now I'm going to say something here. I think that Steve may be part of the problem somewhat. I think his management style does not really lend itself to well, put it this way. I think he could back off a little bit and let the chief totally run that police department. Because from what I understand, the mayor gets involved in that too. And I mean, management I understand, but getting directly involved with it, okay. And it is called checks and balances, and that's what I love about America. That's what I loved about the military. There's always a check and somebody always had somebody they had to answer to. Somebody. The private had to answer to the sergeants. The sergeant had to answer to the higher sergeant. The sergeant had to answer. The higher sergeant had to answer to the company commander. The company commander got to answer to the battalion commander. So there's everybody. Now, if you want to talk, don't talk stupid at me, and we can talk.
Well, you got to listen first.
Okay, but you don't. These personal
the state constitution. See, there you won't listen.
Well, because
the state constitution tells the cities how they can raise money, right? Am I right or wrong?
Well, I don't know if they tell the city how they can raise money
yes,
or not.
That's what a constitution is. It tells them how they can raise money. And one is not an income tax.
That's why you call it a fee.
It ain't a fee.
It can be.
You can't. See, that's why you don't listen. That's why the state legislature defined for people that what the tax could be. It didn't just put it on Montgomery. It said that you cannot do this because the city can only raise taxes through sales tax and fees and different things like that. They can't do an income tax. And that's what a occupational tax is.
You call it a fee. You don't call it a tax. You call it a fee.
And what's the fee? What is the fee?
Transportation fee.
First you said, okay, so you're going to have a toll booth up there and charge people to come through Montgomery. So they just traveling through, you're going to charge them a fee.
Well, doesn't Millbrook got one?
They got a privately owned bridge.
But they still have one, though.
To privately owned people who built it.
Right, but they still have one.
Yes, but it don't belong to the city. It belongs to an individual.
Okay.
They built it. You don't have to go through it.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to go through it. That's true. We got state highways.
But it doesn't belong to the state.
Yeah.
It
Again,
belongs to the people who built it.
well, why is it so many things get stopped by the legislator when it comes to the city of Montgomery? They don't have home rule, and not having home rule.
No, you don't. You just read home rule and you see that it lets the cities do certain things.
That's right.
But in the Constitution, it tells the people how the cities can raise money.
Well,
and one of them is not an income tax.
Well, that's why you can't call it a tax.
Oh, so you're just gonna change the name?
Lawyers do it all
the other name still spells the same.
Lawyers
Just because you call it something else, it's still an income tax.
You can call it what you want to call it. We'll call it the transportation fee, whatever you want to call it.
And but you want to set up a toll booth, right? Up on the highway. How many you gonna set up?
Well, not on the highway, but the highway's on.
Where you gonna put your toll booth?
As a matter of pragmatism, if 1,000 people come to your town every day,
you're just wrong, and you won't listen, man. The Constitution of the state of Alabama tells the cities how they can raise money.
Okay, but again,
you won't listen.
Well, you listen for a second. Wait. You listen for a second. If 1,000 people come to Montgomery every day to make a living, but none of that, but they don't really pay taxes to keep with the upkeep of the roads and the streets, and they have trash, all that stuff.
That's not true, because they come in on state roads and they pay income taxes to take care of those.
And they drive pay gas in the taxes. City.
They pay for the roads. They're state roads.
And if they pick their gas before they get to Montgomery, they don't get gas where they.
It goes to the state who pays and takes care of the roads.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it's a state road, man. Have you seen the city of Montgomery fix anything that they claim that belongs to the state or county?
They fixing Federal Drive.
Well, no, they don't. Huh?
They're fixing Federal Drive.
That's a city. That's a city. That's not a county. It's not a state.
Well, listen, I just drive on the road.
They won't fix it, huh?
I don't really care who owns it.
They won't fix anything that takes care of county or state.
Well, I don't know if that's
true. But they don't have the authority to have an income tax. The city does not have that authority.
And that's why we won't.
And you say the mayor don't have enough money. They're talking about another $27 million boondoggle right now.
Well,
they just laid out over $100 million in something on the this weekend. Nobody was at Whitewater.
Well,
they paid millions of dollars to keep that open.
Well, I do believe we need.
Now the mayor wants to have a rap hall downtown and call it a Joe Reed Rap Center. I guess he's going to make him a rap center and compete with Impact. Well, he's got money to do junk like that, don't he?
Make him go to Whitewater. All right, Don. Okay. I don't know everything, but I do know if you run across that bridge, the Pike Road Bridge, wherever you want, and you come into Montgomery, you make your money. You ought to be able to contribute a little bit to it. We call it a tithe or something. I don't know. Let me see. Steve wants boys and girls bathrooms. I don't think he does, but we'll ask him next time I talk to him. Let me see what else is going on. If 1,000 people come, let's say if 1,000 people come to Montgomery daily, make them enter Whitewater. Okay, let me see. Ask him what other cities call the occupational tax that passed in the legislature. That's true. I think they call it I believe they call it a occupational tax. I believe. All right, let me see what else is going on here. Let me see. Isn't that what other guy does? Let's see. It's Steve wants boys and girls. Okay. What are you saying? Old folks have a problem with young folks? Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. But that's not anything new. Old people have always had different problems. When I was younger, I had a problem with old folks. So that's just a generational thing. So what happened to the police review board? Nobody really wants it. I guess the city council don't really want it. I personally don't have a problem with it. But not at all. I think everybody needs to answer to somebody. Okay, everybody but put up some toll booth and collect fees for the use on the roads. Well, I don't know if the city can do that, but I know they're going through Millbrook. They make them buku dollars on that thing over there, so people just get a shortcut. Hey, Steve, pick up the damn trash. Okay, Kevin, why do you accept Don calling you dumb? Because listen, people have a right to their opinions, and that's his opinion. That's fine. Okay. You saying it's more about personality than policy? Yeah, yeah. I don't have. I think Steve's got some pretty good ideas. Um, is he doing a good job of kind of? It kind of reminds me of Trump sometimes. You don't really do a great job, like this whole Iran thing. We don't. They didn't. They have not done a good job of explaining why we there. Okay, that's the problem with him and Iran. We haven't done a good job of explaining to the people why we are there. And I'm still kind of, 1 minute I heard that they're a couple of the ingredients from making 10 atomic bombs. Well, I think that if that in fact is true, then doggone it, yeah, stop them because they're crazy as hell. Okay, they'll drop a bomb in Montgomery or any place else, and by the time we see the mushroom cloud, it'll be too late. So yeah, I think they're. I think they're. What is that movie? A clear and present danger with an atom bomb. Okay, with an A bomb. Now I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I heard, which is why we thought it was imperative that we take them on right now. But they have not done a great job, if that in fact is true. Okay, but something happened over the weekend in Iran that I'd be willing to go there right now and help fight them if for what they did. They took a young man, okay, who was a wrestler, who was a wrestler for on the Olympic team. On the Olympic team, they took a young man who was a wrestler on the Olympic team, and because he protested, they beheaded him. He was a national hero for them, and they beheaded that young man. Now, I think that's worth going fighting for right now, because if that's the best they got coming, if that's the kind of government they have, let me show you and show you this guy right now, because I'm telling you what, I was so upset about that I didn't know what to do. Okay, I just it was crazy. That young man right there, okay, the young man right there, they beheaded him. Okay, they beheaded him because he protested his government. I personally think that's enough to go over there and whoop on everybody's ass. Okay, make a parking lot out of them. I mean, that's oppression. When our troops entered Germany and freed those Jewish people from Dachau and all those places like that, I think this is the same. So I'm with Trump on this one. Okay, we just gonna kill people, behead them publicly. Behead them. They executed 19-year-old wrestling champion for the Olympics. And two other people were beheaded because they participated in anti-government protests. Okay? From a rising star a few months ago to his head cut off now because they didn't agree with their government. Okay? So I got to tell you, that makes me want to put on a rucksack and some shot and go somewhere with M16 and help them people, because I got to tell you that right there, that's unhuman. That's inhuman. Okay, I don't know what God they think they serve, Allah, who in the hell they call him, but surely he wouldn't want them cutting off people's heads. Okay, because they protest their own government. I mean, surely they wouldn't want to. No. God wouldn't want you to do that. God said, "Vengeance is mine." And I got to tell you, when I saw that this weekend, I was furious. I wish I could find a 141, strap on my chute, and go over there and kick some ass, because I got to say that right there angered me. Okay, that angered me. And you think we want to put all them people in the United States? We want to, with people with that kind of belief system, you want to immigrate to the United States? I'm sure everybody over there's not that way, but Islam, their version of Islam, It is not. It is inconsistent with the United States Constitution, and therefore, I don't believe this is a good marriage between us and them. Okay, it's just not a good marriage between us and them. But hey, somebody else may see it differently. But that just ticked me off. It really did. I just cannot. I'm so angry about this, and I don't even know the young man. But I know at 19 years old, because you protest your government, you shouldn't get your head cut off. Him with a couple other people. 19. So I guess the world's not the same everywhere we know. And we want to bring a lot of those folks over here who that have that kind of belief system. Ah, whoo, I don't know. It's not my call, but it is just I think it's a bad thing. Okay, and that just tore at my soul over the weekend, seeing what they did to that young man, and somebody else with him too. It wasn't just him. They did it with two other young folks too. Two other young people. But hey, that's the way things go. That part of the world. That's the only part of the world I don't care nothing about going to. Matter of fact, it's the only part of the world I've never been in, and I don't care nothing about going to it. I will never understand why they live the way they live, and why they do the things that they do. I will never understand that. So I don't know. And don't forget this weekend, what happened this weekend? We had and Deuce Conrad. I think was that the name of that group. That's the name of that. Evidently, every year they have a big party over in Gateway Park. They close it down. They close it down, right? And it happened. And this is one of the reasons why people leave in Montgomery. So they found another place to do it, unauthorized place to do it. Okay. So the city said, "Nah, we're not going." She said, "Nah, we're not going to have that. We ain't gonna have that. Okay, we ain't gonna do that. We're just going to do our regular thing. So we're not okay. We're not gonna have the Deuce Conrad thing, because lately every time a bunch of folks get together, we start shooting one another. Okay, so we can't have things like that anymore in the city. We just can't have it. What's our calling number? You gonna give it to Jermaine? 521-2963. If you want to call in. Why do we have the right to build our why do we have a right to build our military up and other countries don't have the right? Because we, at least for the most part, are very reasonable people with the use of that power. We don't, most of the time, we don't provoke nations. We don't try to go over and take over nations, at least not physically anyway. Japan attacked us first. The Mideast, that part of the world attacked us first. I think the adage is walk soft but carry a big stick, which is what I think the United States have done for a long time. But evidently they don't have the brains we have. Okay, look at the history of the world. Okay, I don't care anything about the Epstein files. I could care less. I don't care. I don't care. If sooner or later, if he did something, sooner or later somebody's going to pay. What about the people at ICE? Well, here's another thing. If you don't want to be killed, do not run behind. Okay, do not run behind the police, the ICE people. Don't run behind them. Don't block their cars in. Don't throw things at them, spit on them, and things of that nature. And you don't have to deal with that. Okay, I'm sorry. Listen. Don't do it. Okay, then you won't have to worry about it. This doesn't have anything to do with America being a righteous government, but everything to deal with what made that comes through. What? Shorten that for me. I can get to it. American dollars, which has made America very, very wealthy. Listen, I don't know, and I'm with you, Greg, on this one. FAFO, you go after them folks, and you'll see what happens. I mean, they're just doing their job. And, hey, this Jamel Brown.
No, but on the I guess standing in the gap for Jamel Brown, you know Will Boyd, right?
Yeah, I talked to him, as a matter of fact.
They're running for governor.
Yeah.
You know Doug John running for governor.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, his people called me last week.
And Tommy Tuckerville.
Talked to his people the other day. So they come.
Is the reason you want Jamel Brown on your show is because he leading the pack or something?
He's the most unqualified person in the history of Alabama to ever run for governor.
Right. Why would you want to talk to somebody like that?
Oh, I don't. I need because I need some humor.
I'm just saying, if you got some candidates out there that they're doing outstanding in the poll, why do you want to waste your time with Jamel Brown?
Wait a minute. Do you believe that he's doing outstanding in the polls?
No. I'm asking you, why do you want him on your show when you have all these qualified candidates?
Because it shows it shows that the Democratic Party is not serious.
But what about the other candidates? Will Boyd is a nice candidate, and Bill Jones is your friend.
And
Jamel said he's going to come on when you get them on. He said, get all of them on together. Why you just want him on?
I had him on.
You want to get him on there and try to dog him out?
No.
What you can't do. I'm saying, why do you want him on your show so bad when you got other candidates out there running? And
most of the other candidates I've talked to, I've had the woman, Yolanda, has been on. Will Boyd has been on. Also, I talked to Doug's people the other day, and so we're finalizing to get him on, and also Tuberville. So I mean, I can't make.
I'm quite sure. I don't know if I'm quite sure he'll come on your show. I'm not his campaign manager. Or nothing like that, but I done gave him the word, that he'll come on when the top contender who you believe in come on. You're not wasting your time just coming on when
there's
nobody.
There's nobody
running himself. But look,
there's nobody running for governor that actually give me that tingling feeling.
Well, Kay Ira never came on. She did no debate. She did nothing.
She didn't. You can't make him come on.
I know. Jamel, I'm glad they know. I'm glad at least y'all know. But look, I called in because, hey, what's your spin on the Deuce Conrad Day thing? I
agree with the police. I agree with the police on it. I agree with the police on it. We didn't need it.
What was the agreement?
Well, I don't agree.
So you be all had cop. What was the agreement?
Well, I don't agree, but they evidently they closed down places in Ridgecrest, stuff like that, so they couldn't have it. At least not in that.
Why?
Not in Gateway, anyway.
Well, why? I'm just asking you, why wouldn't they let them have it in Gateway?
Well, I don't know what their purpose was, but I don't want that many young folks getting together anymore. Every time they do, somebody gets shot and killed.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you what I did for the last 3 days, man, and I think leadership failed by not coming out, engaging it to the public, because it was a hot issue on social media. Now, last night I spent 3 hours going out in the community from street to street, just doing my own observation so I can see.
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you what I saw. I saw thousands of voters who wanted to participate in that event. I'm talking about, it wasn't just all young folks. I saw people of age. I saw people drinking. And I saw people, they end up going from location to location, because young folks, that's one thing I got to give them credit for. They know how to utilize the social media. When they say move to point B, they move in unit. If they was out there on Gateway Park, and they had been doing it out there for a couple of years, and they had a permit, and Gateway Park is pretty much not really in the neighborhood, but it's an isolated place, and they did not want it. And I know some of the community people was complaining because they were having it at the Deuce Conrad Boyd's house on a street, and I understand the crowdedness of the street, traffic couldn't move. But if they took it to a place where it was isolated from the community, where it one way in and one way out. You know how many man-hours they spent all week putting up barricades and setting up roadblocks? And why couldn't they have just put the thing in Gateway Park and let the police officer go out there and protect and serve? Do you cancel all events? What was the purpose of?
I think
I know if they had some threats on social media, people do stuff all the time, so they have to prepare for stuff like that.
Why should we have to prepare for things? People can't get together without hurting each other, pulling guns out.
Nobody got hurt. Nobody got hurt.
Did they carry it out?
They couldn't stop it. They took that people about 4,000 to 5,000 strong. They can't stop them. I got to give MPD a great job the way they conducted themselves on the street for the last couple of days. The president was there. They let them party until they got tired, and they said, "Okay, it's time for y'all to go home now," and they shut it down. And I think that's
the way it should work.
And they went out there fighting the police, okay, but they was on private property, and nobody got jumped on. I went through a couple of situations, and I was talked to like a citizen. And at some point, they're gonna have to fix this problem because these are voters and they want to participate in stuff like this. But everybody's not old like yourself.
They're not voters. Most of them people don't vote. Hell, we can't even.
There was no shooting over there by your house. You didn't hear no gunshot.
And that's good. Well, I did hear some.
So why was it a concern to you?
Oh, what is it?
They was not over there in your area,
right? Because anything that happens anywhere affects all of us, whether directly or indirectly.
And so police. What are the police out there for? They have a job to do, Kev. They have a job. They have to show that they can go out there and they can handle the situation.
And
you can't keep closing it down, just creating chaos. This thing been going on for 20-something years.
Right, let me ask you a question. What brought about people not wanting it? What happened? Because they were having it inside of the community. If they was on your street, then you talk about 5,000 people on your street. You couldn't move. You could no traffic coming in or out on your street. And yes, they probably left trash out. Cause that's what they do. But if you move it to the park, if you take it away from the community and put it in an isolated place. Okay, you put your police officer out there on patrol. You got one way in and one way out. They proved they can shut the house. They can shut the street. They can shut it down at any time. They proved that. So why not have them to go out there and do a couple of hours? Why not try to work with these people, man, to come to a conclusion where everybody is happy? Because
what they did last night. They had about 15 parties all over the city.
Okay.
And they shut down one. They go to the other. They shut down one. They couldn't stop them.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know that they got together and nobody got killed. So that's a good sign.
That's because of all the reasons, probably because of police presence. I got to give the police A+ on protecting and serving streets last night. But they could have did it. All your folks gonna probably be against it because they have hate. They don't want. I don't want it. But these people vote when the mayor Steve Reed ran for office. These same people was out there at Old Calhoun Food parking lot, and the mayor was out there bebopping with them. Because they vote.
Now somebody.
I'm just saying. Whoever made the decision.
Right. But somebody said, why tie up law enforcement for a private party?
Because it's not a private party, it's an event. It don't make it just like the parade. It's just like the New Year's Day parade. I have to have 15 to 20 police officers every year. And because I want that. If I apply for an event permit to have an event, that's the case. They're gonna have all the certain people gonna get event permit. We can't have it because it was a lot of young folks. You got to give the young folks an opportunity, man, to go out and enjoy themselves too. And then you have to.
But listen.
So you can't make all of them go to church.
Well, that's true, but listen, there's a reason why the response has been what it has been, because historically
they move it out of the community into an isolated place where there's nothing but woods and golf balls. One way in,
isn't that it? Doesn't
and one way out.
Doesn't that say something about that group of kids that you
got
to put it somewhere out near nobody?
Yes, it said a lot. It said that we have some improvement to do because they are going to do what they want to do regardless. And that's 90 out there coming down Fairview with 20 ATVs and four-wheeler. So they got a point to prove now.
And they
the police officer was tied up the whole weekend dealing with this.
Exactly.
And I commend them. And nobody got killed.
Right.
Nobody got killed. Nobody got shot.
It sounded like it took the whole police department.
It did. I'm quite sure it did. Last night, I'm quite sure that if anything would have went down last night somewhere else on your side, you probably would have got a call. No one probably would have came.
Then isn't that a bad thing? That's not a good thing.
It's not a bad thing because we understaffed with police officers. Okay. We got to get our numbers up. So we have to. You can't blame you. We have to get our numbers up where it's supposed to be of a city of this magnitude. So we have enough officers.
Wait a minute. Isn't there something wrong with we can't have something unless we have a bunch of police officers there?
These are the time that we are living. I listened to your call and talk about the governor saying they can walk around with pistols and stuff all on their hips. We are living in a different time, my brother.
Okay.
So we got to go along. We can't use your tactic that worked 20 years ago. Well, we never went down this road before. We are in uncharted territory.
And we can live
we have to change.
But we can live without going down this road now.
But this the hand that we were there.
Because we are allowing.
We got a killing every. We got a killing every week. But this we ain't used to have this, so we have to adapt. So at some point, this is what I see, because I was out there last night on the ground. Yes, I was scared because that's not my cup of tea. Yes, I was afraid when I saw 1,000 people over. I'm like, well, how the cars gonna go up and down the street? They should have had this in Gateway. That's what happens when you take Gateway from them. Then they go out and create their own party, and now you got the same problem that you tried to avoid. Instead of having it on, you can't barricade the whole West Montgomery. So you got at some point, unless you can't take everybody to jail, but they're not doing nothing wrong. They're not doing nothing wrong.
Do you see what you're missing here, though? Do you really see
what I'm missing?
You're missing here. The fact of the matter is that we need this many police officers in order to let human beings have a good time. Says something and it's not good about the folks who having a party.
Yeah, but I have to hire police. I had to hire 15 to 20. It was
right, but that's okay. I understand that. That's a community event.
They have an ordinance on the books that 4 or 5 people can't gather. They call that. They enforce the order. They got an ordinance on the book that they're not enforcing, but they will enforce that ordinance on certain individuals. They have ordinance on the book saying a crowd can't get together. That's against the law.
Now wait, how many people?
So they got orders on. They have orders on the book that they are not enforcing.
Okay. Now,
and I went to the city council meeting. About 6 months before my parade, and told them about this problem that I tried to nip in the bud, but they paid me no mind.
Well, now somebody just told me that they had a fight in Gateway last year. They even fought.
It's okay if you have one fight. It's okay. You got them type of people together. You may have. Did they get killed? Yes, you're gonna have a fight problem. You got alcohol. You got to take into consideration that it's a possibility that you may have one fight. They said it was a girl fight out there. Yes. It's okay. So they have a fight. They have a fight at every nightclub around here. They have a fight in Walmart. You can expect a fight when you're dealing with a certain type of people.
Okay.
Well, alcohol is, yes, you're going to have a fight. One fight, that was good. One fight. They wouldn't have found one fight.
Well, one fight's not
I don't think I'm saying it. I don't think I'm saying, I'm finna get off. All thing I'm saying is that at some point, you can't keep telling these people no, because they start putting people in the office who going to tell them yes, and then we're going to have to deal with the situation. You're going to have to come to some type of I thought they were on some neutral ground by taking it to Gateway. So they was on the table speaking until leadership changed. Leadership changed, and now it's the problem.
So who?
And I think Fernetta Riley needs to come forward. I think Fernetta Riley needs to come forward and explain what happened in her district. Why was so many police officers tied up for the last 72 hours? Somebody needs to explain that. Why couldn't this be nipped in the bud? Why it took so many manpower out there when other cities were probably losing?
Well, I am glad I didn't hear anybody get killed, so I'm good. It's nice that we can get together without having black people laws. It's nice we can do that without having somebody shot. Although we did have somebody killed over the weekend. Last week. So I mean,
I was scared out there, but that was not my part. I wasn't supposed to have been out there now, but that's what they do. Them young folks, that's how they do it. So if you scared, then that's a part of the knots for you. You go to church.
No.
And you do you talk on what you're doing right now. That wasn't a part of a Kevin Evans.
Well, no, it wasn't for me.
All right, so it was for them. Let them have themselves a good time once. It was for them.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't for me.
If
but I was
that party
there,
makes
so
you scared, if that party if you were scared, listen, I was scared jumping out of an airplane. I know that's dangerous, but I shouldn't be scared going to a party in the city of Montgomery.
This is the type of world that we are living in. A world that
we can change that.
Guns, when you change it, guns are on every corner. Okay? Yeah. So it wasn't like, they made it illegal to walk around to do this type of stuff. So this is a hand. So this is where we live in, Kevin.
Okay, you make a good point there. We are letting people walk around with guns.
Yes, even the Mexicans finna have them a day now. I heard they finna do the same thing.
Okay.
Y'all have a good day, Kevin. Thank you.
Well, you gotta do it. Although I must admit, again, we halfway responsible for some of this crap going on. People walk around with guns on the hip and stuff like that. So I guess it was inevitable at some point. Okay, it was inevitable at some point that these things would come about. I guess I don't know, but it's a shame that we have come to expect the worst rather than the best. And I just don't. I don't know. I personally don't get it. Now I got to go have my glass of milk. So in a minute, I'll be back in a minute. In a minute, because I got to take a break because my milk is calling me. Because I got to have a glass right after that conversation. I need a glass of milk. So I'll give me 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes, and we will close it out this morning because Boyd kind of it took a while for him to get through to me, but I will say, maybe we are responsible for this. Maybe we are responsible for the things that are going on, in Montgomery and in the rest of the United States, allowing people to walk around with guns on their hip, on their side, all kind of guns. At some point, people gonna say, I wonder what this do. We'll be right back right after these messages or this break.
In the quiet of the morning light, hands raised high in pure delight, thankful whispers in a gentle breeze, grateful heart with such sweet ease, every breath I take, for the love that heals and the joy you make in the tapestry of life. I see your grace, every moment filled with your warm embrace. Through valleys deep and mountains high, your faith a beacon in the sky. Every trial with lessons wrapped tight, in every shadow you are my light.
Righty then.
Thank you, Lord.
Okay, enough of that. Y'all got me all confused. Well, not really. I'm sort of confused. So we put ourselves in a position where we have to have policemen at all of our parties, and somehow we think that's okay. Alrighty then. Well, anyway, so much for that. Other things happening. They had a 51-mile relay march the other day. One by one, runners and cyclists crossed the finish line at the Alabama State Capitol on Saturday, completing a 50-mile journey. Yes.
Hey, Kevin. Boyd said when certain people get together, you're going to have problems. What are the certain people?
Well, I'll have to let Mr. Boyd. I think it's certain. A certain generation.
Is it a generation? What about race? Is it a race? What are the definition of the certain people?
Well, I think it's generational more than color.
I think Boyd might be in favor of the Young Brother Protection Act, where you can't allow more than 100 blacks get together, or somebody will get killed. I'm gonna name the law the Young Brother Protection Act, which will allow no more than 100 blacks in an area.
Okay, then I'll run that by the legislature and the Young Brother Protection Act. Okay, then. So much for that one. What else is going on? What else went on? Yeah, I ain't too much into running or riding bikes 51 miles. Although for those who did it, hey, so be it. Okay. We executed a 19-year-old in Iran, which I'm totally, I don't understand that. I'm ready to go to fight now. Now, did y'all see the thing about, you remember Afro Man? Afro Man is the guy who put out, I thought I'd get high. I want to get high and all that stuff. You remember that? Well, the police took him to court because he made fun of them. They broke into the guy's house. Okay, yeah, YBP Act. Okay, then. Tell your racist called Boyd and ask him that. Yeah. Okay, then. Doug Jones was Diddy's little boy back in the day. Okay, then. I don't know. Okay, let me give you some little levity here. Okay, because this happened the other day. The Afro Man is a guy who put out that song "You Want to Get High." Well, the police had a fake. I guess they had a. Hold on a second. Okay, so they had this. They came to the guy's house. Okay, they came to the guy's house and tried to. They raided the guy's house because they said he had dope over there, right? Okay, now he didn't. He didn't, but they said he did. Okay, and so he didn't have it. So what happened is that they got it. They got it. Well, hold on. Well, let me let you look at this, and you guys tell me now. This ought to help your morning, right here, because this guy, I mean, these people, sometimes policemen, this whole thing with this war on marijuana, I just really don't understand it. Why we do those kinds of things. But anyway, this is Afro Man. Afro Man was just having a good time, and they kind of broke into his house and said he had marijuana stuff in it. He didn't have nothing. So he made a parody of them, okay, called Lemon Pie. And he, well, let me show you, okay, what it is. Okay. Okay, do we got this? Okay, don't show this again. Okay. Come on, man. Did I get it wrong? Did I get it wrong? Oh, okay. Let me try that one more again. Okay. Okay. I want to get high. Well, this is the guy who put out I Want to Get High. Okay. This is what he came up with. Okay, let me make sure I get this right and share the screen. And that's the screen right there. Share the screen. Okay, don't seem like it's going to work today. I don't know why. Oh, there it is right there. Okay, there he is right there. No, okay, there he is right there. Okay. Oh, there he is right there. All right, so here we go. The guy who put out I Want to Get High, and they went to his house, busted down his doors and everything in his house because they said that they thought he had some marijuana. And he got back at him, and he won a lawsuit against him the other day. Let me see if I can get this thing going here. Let me see.
The warrants said narcotics and kidnapping. The warrants said narcotics and kidnapping. Are you kidding? I make my money rapping. Why does the warrant say narcotics? Well, I know narcotics, but why kidnapping? Let me ask you.
Oh my God, y'all! Some of the testimony is hilarious. I want y'all to listen to this right here.
Sean, you were called Officer Pound Cake by Mr. Thorman?
Multiple times. Received hundreds of pound cakes at work from different people.
Never mind. It ain't. It's not that good. I don't even like rolling either. It was good enough.
Rollins.
30 years.
You got into the mind of the kids pretty well.
Yes.
When they were playing Mr. Foreman's song Lemon Pound Cake.
Anyway, what happened was, okay, here's what happened. They came into the guy's house looking for drugs, and the warrant said kidnapping. I don't know when the hell he was supposed to kidnap it. And then they found out that, he didn't have no drugs in that house or anything like that. Now then, okay, well, he saw one of those, kept looking at his pound cake. So he came up with a song and a parody about the pound cake, and it went all over the country. And now the police department decided to sue him for defamation. Well, no, he caught the guy actually looking at the pound cake, and he made some parody about it. And I can't believe they sued him, and he won. Okay, he won, and I had to get it another day for you. But anyway. We use marijuana to trample over people's constitutional right. What I can't figure out about marijuana is this. God made marijuana. So why is it against the law? Now, I could see if you change the original properties of marijuana to make it more, whatever. But why do we put people in jail for marijuana? Now, I've never smoked it because it stinks. And I wouldn't want it. They just get on my nerve. But why are we putting people in jail for marijuana for 10 and 15 years? It's an herb, right? It's an herb. So why are we doing that? Seriously, marijuana. I could kind of understand if you take the coca leaf and you turn it into things that you ought not turn it into and, get high and all that stuff. But why are we putting people in jail for marijuana? I mean, God makes it. It's an herb. It actually helps people with cancer and all kinds of things. So why are we putting people in jail for marijuana? And we know that it has some medical properties in it, and we won't even let people have medical marijuana in the state of Alabama. But we let you walk around with a MAC-10 on your side and all kinds of guns. Now, let me ask you something. Well, you think I'd want a guy that's smoking marijuana sitting next to me or a guy with a MAC-10? Okay, which one? Which one do you think I want hanging out with me in the street? No, give me the guy that's high. Okay, not the guy that's got a big old rifle on his side. Okay, I'm just telling you. We minor in the majors and major, and we major in the minors and minor in the majors. Okay, so I don't quite understand it, but I don't understand why we keep putting people in jail for marijuana. It's a shame and a disgrace. Okay, they should treat marijuana the same way they treat alcohol. If you come to work high, we gonna fire you or lay you off. Just like drinking. If you can't come to work drunk, come to work drunk. But what you do when you get off work, that's up to you. You know, we don't care what you do at home. Okay, and you shouldn't be able to drive while under the influence of marijuana. Okay, you shouldn't be able to do that. But to bust down people's doors and all of these things because you want to smoke marijuana in your own domicile, just absolutely, it defies logic and reason. Okay, because we sell alcohol. And just in case y'all don't know this, I'm going to give you a little medical fact here. There are more people in hospitals in America with something doing with alcohol than cigarettes or marijuana. And we keep selling alcohol. Okay? We keep selling it like it ain't no big deal. We keep selling it. Okay? So give me the logic and reason that somebody, please give me something. Make me understand why we putting people in jail for 15, 20 years for marijuana. And I still think we did Mr. Carmichael wrong. You know, I think we did. Anyway, don't forget our sponsors. And our sponsor of today's show is One Stop Wireless. And you can go down, you can pay your bill down there, and you can pay your bill, your light bill. Well, I know you can pay your gas bill and a couple other bills, but you go down and see which one it is. Anyway, One Stop Wire, they're located at 3445 Atlanta Highway in Montgomery, right on the corner of Atlanta Highway and Coliseum Boulevard. You can't miss it. It is a great place. They are really good people. And of course, do I got the number there? I got the number there somewhere. Where is that number at? I got it somewhere. 320-9288. Yeah, I think that's what it is. But anyway, go down there and see them. Corner Atlanta Highway, they got all kind of phones. Apple phone. They got a plan to $25 a month. They even got free telephones. Okay, One Stop Wireless. So if you want to get your kids some so you can keep up with them, they got now stocks. They're limited in numbers that they have on the free ones. So you might want to just give them a call down. What is? You mean I did not put the number on there? Give me a break, Jake. Okay, then. Okay, their number is, I got the number right here. Okay, I got the number. Where is that number? There we go. Right there. Okay, and that number is 320-2988. 320-2988. 320-2988. That One Stop Wireless, okay, and Pay Center. They are a Pay Center. So you can actually pay your, I don't know if you can pay your, I know you can pay your gas bill down there and other bills, okay? They pay bills for Simple Mobile, Verizon, Track Phone. They got mobile. They got all kind of things you can do down there. So again, give them a call, please. Let them know you heard me talking about them on the podcast. That number again is 320-2988. One Stop Wireless. Now, I got a new sponsor today. Oh yeah, I'm moving up there. We're getting up there. Okay. And who's my new sponsor? Montgomery Computer Services, 277-6902. 277-6902. They're located at 5141 Atlanta Highway. It's called the Eastview Shopping Center right there where Geico Insurance is. Geico Insurance, right on top of the hill. What's it called? East Village. I think it's called East Village. But anyway, great people down there. They know about computers. Yeah, and I'm more of a guy who goes to people's homes, and I don't really want to get involved with the businesses, and that's what they specialize in, is businesses. So whether you have networking problems, whether you have whatever kind of problem. You want to go Linux, you want to try something different. You got some AI things you might want to do. We got Mason down there can do AI. Z's down there. You might want to go down there and see them. But a lot of things, ladies and gentlemen, if you've had your computer for over 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, it's time for a new one. It's time to get rid of one. Now they may be able to do something with it. You might want to call them though. That number is 334-277-6902. That's 334-277-6902. Okay, 334. What's that number again? 277-6902. Okay, I got it now. Okay, that's the number right there. Okay, and then that is Montgomery Computer Services, located at 5141 Atlanta Highway, right in the same little shopping center. They got a haircut thing there, and Healthwise Foods. Healthwise Food is up there also. So they're right next door to Healthwise Food. Tell the guys at Healthwise Food we give them a free plug. So anyway, give them a call. Tell them if you don't need them yet, just call them. Tell them you heard about them on the podcast. And so if you have a problem with your computer, okay, that you don't want, and now I specialize in coming to you, but I do work for them when it comes to home things, home service calls. I do most of their stuff. But if you don't want people coming to your house and you want and I don't do businesses, I only do citizens. I don't do businesses. Okay. So anyway, give those guys a call, 277-6902. They can build you and you want a gamer computer, you want a gaming computer, you're tired of getting the ones off the shelf that last you a couple of years and then stuff be breaking down. And when you go call somebody for tech support, you can't understand anything they're saying. You can't understand nothing that they're saying. Well, these are the people that you want to go to. Okay. Tyler is a former airborne ranger, United States Army. Him and I served in the same regiment, 20 years apart, but we were there. Anyway, 277-6902. Write that down one more time. 334-277-6902. That is Montgomery Computer Services. Okay, they can upgrade your computer. They can give you a new one, rebuild it, fix problems that you wouldn't have any idea of things they can do down there. Okay. So please call them up. And if you don't need them right now, well, just tell them you'll call them when you need them. Okay. 277-6902. Montgomery Computer Services. Okay. On Atlanta Highway, 5141 Atlanta Highway, right next to Healthwise Food, Geico Insurance, Progressive Insurance, and all those people on top of the hill. I think it's called Eastwood Village or something like that. Eastwood. Yeah, something like that. You can't miss it. You can't. I'll get the name right tomorrow. It's a little shopping center right on top of the hill. Okay. Anyway, and again, don't forget One Stop Wireless. Okay. So give them a call, 320-2988. And they can, one more thing. On One Stop Wireless, they can actually take your old phone that you got in the drawer down there, and they can actually get it activated for you. So you might want to give them a call too. Okay. Okay. What's that number again? Okay. 334-320-2988. And don't forget Montgomery Computer Services. So we got 2 sponsors now. So now we're doing good. Anyway, and you can always give a donation to Cash App on my little thing right there. Just 241-9998. Make sure I eat. I don't starve to death in here. All right. So that's it for today. We thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And thank you for your conversations. Even though some of them are a little bit weird, but I got it. Okay. I do. Good day. See you later. See you tomorrow. The good Lord says the same. Bye. Montgomery Computer Services and One Stop Wireless. Let's do business with them. Show them how much we love them. Bye.